Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta. No matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be, thank you for making the Highbury Squad a part of your day. We've made it to the end of the week. An unusual broadcast hours, 6 p.m. on a Friday. Many of you out having some last-minute summer fun. But we have a legend with us, and no matter where in the world you might be listening at whatever time, get ready, squaddies. He's back.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
It's a huge game. It's come very quickly this season, and back at Squad Central, one of my favourites, the legend that is Mr. Stevie Nicol.
Hey, Soph, how you doing?
Good, mate. How are you?
All right, yeah, not bad.
Yeah, good summer so far.
So far, so good. It'll be even better after the weekend, hopefully after we win.
We'll see about that. We'll get your viewpoint on it. I'm ready for the fall. I'm ready for the autumn. I'm ready to layer up again, which, by the way, for you, in the part of the world you are, you're probably not looking forward to the fall and the autumn.
No, we don't want snow. Nothing. There's nothing to look forward about 6 foot of snow. Let me tell you.
All right. Well, good evening, squaddies. At ease, everyone. And to those listening on Apple and Spotify, thank you so much for making us part of your day. Lots of you going to be listening to this one on replay before the big game. Appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you let Stevie have it in the YouTube comments like you usually do.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Speaking of have it, I had to get your take on what happened during the week in the League Cup. And as a player, this is a little bit of a rival view and inside the dressing room, guys, is what you made of Ruben Amarin and his little, flip chart book here, Stevie.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing, honestly. It just smacks of being back at school. There are so many coaching courses now, and you have to do certain ones if you want to coach at the highest level, and you have to get the A badge, and you get this badge and that badge. Now, all of these things are great because they help you be organised, particularly more than anything, they help you be organised. But when it comes to game time, you need to be able to smell what's going on and see what's going on, and you have to react and make decisions how you're going to change it. You can't be sitting down with a little board moving magnetic pieces around. I mean, just nonsense. It just smacks of, well, what did we do in class 4 years ago when I did my badges? It just smells of a guy who's not really sure. You should be able to stand on the touchline and come up. You don't always come up with the right solution, but you've got to be able to smell where the problems are and how to sort them. And certainly sitting on your backside with stupid wee football field with magnetic pieces it just looks ridiculous and just smacks of what it is. It looks like a guy who loves the theory. But we all know theory's easy peasy. Everybody can talk theory. The practical is what counts. When that whistle goes and the ball's on the ground and you've got 11v11, that's the practical. And you've got to be able to deal with that.
Stevie, I mean, it just is so bizarre to see a Manchester United manager like, that. And then the post-game comments were insane. And I mean, you managed for a number of years, in MLS with New England, did a superb job. And one of the things he really got criticized for was how he sat in the dugout, a little bit like a petulant child, not watching any of the penalties. I understand a manager, maybe in a massive final, not being able to take it, or a semi-final, can't watch the last penalty. God, I hope we go through. As a manager and as a player as well, take us inside that dressing room. What do you make of it? One, as a player, if you're seeing your manager behave this way, and two, as a manager, penalties and kind of how he behaved at that point.
Well, I don't get how you don't watch penalties. It's your team. I mean, you want to take it to the extreme. How about you sit during the game and don't watch the game either then? If you're that, do you know what I mean? That's how stupid it is. I don't understand it. And if I'm a player, I'm asking why. I'm asking myself, why is this guy not watching? Does he not trust us? Is that what it is? I mean, why? Because I don't get it. I don't understand it. It makes no sense why you wouldn't watch. So that would be it. That, you know, the two questions, one of them doesn't have an answer, because I couldn't tell you why. I just don't get why you wouldn't watch the penalty kicks. Just don't get it.
If you're a player, what do you think about seeing your gaffer? It felt like he lost it a little bit. And I know, Ryan, you're saying, is it Ryan or someone in chat saying if he'd have used an iPad, maybe people wouldn't have made a big deal out of it. Smacks of snobbery. Maybe, I don't know. But it to me just feels like on that night, he lost it. And how do you face the players the next day? Like, as a player, Stevie, what do you think these United players?
I think, Sophie, by now, nothing really will surprise most of certainly they get the older, experienced Man United players. Nothing that happens now is going to surprise them, because he has been saying and doing and all kinds of things since he got there that really hasn't made any sense. He's had nothing. He couldn't come out in front of a journalist and tell you anything that has improved since he went to that club. And by now, the players will know that the guy's not good enough. I mean, I honestly can, hand on heart, say that there is nothing that's better at Man United, whether it's the playing staff, whether it's the system, whatever it might be. Every single thing has gotten worse. There's not one positive thing at all. So, I mean, right now, the players, I think, will just be waiting for the next appointment, because it just seems no way possible that Amarin can stay any longer. You know, the fact is, the only thing that would make him stay longer is they won't be able to find anybody who they think is good enough. Because I don't listen. If Alex Ferguson walks through the door tomorrow, I'm not so sure that he could sort this squad out. This squad just is not good enough. And as good a coach as Fergie is and manager, you know, when you've got players who can't do the job, it don't matter how good a coach you are. That doesn't change. Yeah. The only thing that changes is their attitude, their desire, their commitment. But this team has none of that. And in terms of ability as well, I think there are too many who actually just aren't good enough and don't have the ability, and certainly don't have the mental strength to play for a team the size of Manchester United.
Yeah, I really wanted to get your take on that. And, you know, also when one of your most expensive signings is taking the 11th penalty, that I don't know, that's kind of a bizarre situation as well. All right. Enough about them. I think we can all agree, us Liverpool and Arsenal fans, that we really don't like Man United. And truth is, we don't really like each other either. It's a game that's come really quickly for both sides, and maybe both sides in a kind of adapting spot, Stevie, right now. I'm going to fire some questions at you, and squaddies, if you have a question for Stevie about the big game, we'll do a few at the very end as well. Just stick a Q in front of it. I'm going to do a little bit of fair or foe with you, so we can cover as much ground as possible. So this is the third game in, I think. This is the third game in. Yeah. And the narrative is building already about Liverpool's defence being inferior this season. What do you think as a legendary defender for the club? Is that fair or foe, Stevie?
Oh, no, that's fair. Absolutely. Yeah, there's no cohesiveness with it at all. There are holes in the wide areas, there's holes through the middle. You know, there is nothing cohesive about it. And actually, it's not just about the back four, it's about the midfield as well. The opposition so far this season has gotten to that back four way too easy. And so, I mean, you have changed your two fullbacks. Kerikes right now looks unsure. I think that would be the best way to put it, because we know he's a player. We know how good he was at Bournemouth, but right now, I'm not sure whether he feels as though he fits in yet. And then the other side, when you've got to play, I mean, I would assume Bradley will play right back, but then again, he's not 100% fit. I certainly don't imagine Szoboszlai playing right back, and of course Frimpong can't because he's injured. But the question about the defence isn't just about how the back four defends for me so far. I think the middle of the park has been too light. And I think the problem really is with Florian Wirtz. I mean, does Arne Slot continue with the three in the midfield with Wirtz, who was bought because of what he does going forward, and he hasn't produced really, let's be honest. But he doesn't give you anything defensively. He doesn't even fill a hole. So defensively, Liverpool absolutely are vulnerable. You know, they're averaging 2 goals a game so far. Between the Charity Shield and the first 2 league games, there were 6 goals in 3 games. That is not the defensive champions.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Wirtz, because one of my questions to you was going to be if he's way overpriced, and maybe that's an unfair statement to make at this point, but it's like, what, 120 million? Of course, some players take time to adapt, but that is a heavy investment, isn't it, Stevie?
Yeah, but listen, I can't honestly imagine any team that was able to get him would have taken him. I mean, when he signed, I was as pleased as anybody that we got him. The guy can play. We've seen what he's capable of doing. But as you said, so far he hasn't shown that. And unfortunately, if you want to win the Premier League title or any of the Champions League or any of the big prizes, if you're not quite at your best, then you have to at least be contributing. And I really don't think Wirtz has contributed nearly enough either side of the ball. So that's why I'm saying maybe Arne Slot's going to have to think about his line-up for the weekend, because this is a big game.
It's huge. Steve Stone has a question for you, riffing off what you're saying. Are you concerned about Konate's start to the season? Other than his performances, he's also picked up 2 silly yellows as well. And like you said, this is a massive game and be really intense. What's your take on Konate? And really, do Liverpool need Gay more than Isak?
Yes, I think they need Gay more than Isak. Konate had a season last year where I thought he'd actually become one of you boys. You know, for me, Gabriel, up until 3 seasons ago, I thought his first couple of seasons were questionable. You know, he'd have 3 good games and then he'd have a bad game, and then 2 good games and a bad game. You know, Konate for me was a little bit the same up until last year, where to me he consolidated. He was very consistent, but he started this year the old Konate. And of course, again, you want to win the big games and the prizes. You need consistency at a high level, and that's questionable from Konate. So yeah, if you were to say to me, you can either have Isak or Gay, I would take Gay.
Yeah, I totally see that with the vulnerabilities and for all of the things you said and all the things we've seen so far this season from Liverpool. Okay, let me. On the flip side, is Arsenal's defence the key to title glory this season, Stephen?
Yeah, absolutely. A bit like Liverpool, I don't think Arsenal have got anywhere close to what they're capable of so far this season. You know, they've won games. They weren't particularly great against United. They didn't play anybody last week, let's be honest. So I think Arsenal have still got way more in the tank in terms of performances and what they're really capable of. I think both sides are coming into this game in the same position. I mean, no question, Liverpool have to step on the gas and be way better than what they've been. But I think Arsenal are similarly in a little bit of that position as well. I think you're not quite hitting your straps yet. But like Liverpool, you've won 2 games.
Stevie, what would you say if I said to you at this point, the window hasn't closed yet, but if you look at like the first couple of games, starting 11, a lot of people could argue that Liverpool's superior to Arsenal. Do you think Arsenal's bench right now is stronger than Liverpool's?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. With the signings you've made, I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, going into this game, I think to myself, like if we hadn't, even though people bitched and moaned about Madueke and Norgard and players like that, I feel that when I look at our bench last season compared to this, having been a manager and a player, it's kind of like the NBA, the sixth man. Is it, as much as I've said, does the defense hold the key to the title? Can the same be said for the bench?
Yeah, in terms of giving your starting 11 a break, 100%. 100%. Arsenal want to be Champions League champions, they want to be Premier League champions. And they want to try and do it in the same year. And so that means that you're playing a lot of games. And so in order, certainly to win the Premier League, you have to be winning consistently. But in order to give people a rest, you need a strong squad and a strong bench. And I think Arsenal's bench is way stronger than Liverpool's. Liverpool are struggling. If Konate or Van Dijk get injured, Joe Gomez is again one of those guys who's good to come in for a game and do really well. But then the next game, there's a little drop off. Liverpool are in that situation. In terms of front players as well, Liverpool are kind of short. We've got Chiesa coming on. Listen, the guy in the past has been great, and yes, he scored a goal against Bournemouth, but really since he's come to Liverpool, he hasn't done anything. I think we're strong in the middle of the park, but yeah, we can't afford injuries. If Liverpool start getting injuries, then there's a problem. I think if Arsenal get some injuries, which they already have, and Bukayo Saka, then you're covered. Nobody's ever going to be as good as Bukayo Saka, but certainly you've got ability and people that you can rely on to step in, whilst the likes of Saka's getting fit. So yeah, I think Arsenal's squad is. I think Arteta, quite frankly, has no more excuses left this season. He has his centre forward, he has his back line, he has his squad, he has all his white players. This to me, or for me, has to be the season where he gets over the line.
Well, I was going to ask you that one at the end, and I will with a little bit of a caveat, but I want to just stick with the bench and stuff, and we can tie these two in together, because you mentioned Saka being injured, Madueke needing to deliver quickly. There'll be no patience for him. And before I get to Eza, do you rate Madueke, Stevie, from covering for ESPNFC? Are you a fan or no? Not a fan?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. He certainly had enough games at Chelsea, but he was by no means first on the team sheet. But he's got ability. He's still young, and so if you can harness that, then yeah, he's talented. I'm just not sure where he's going to be playing.
He'll play on the right. He'll cover for Saka in this game, no doubt about it. And I think he starts before. I think Eza and Madueke start before Nwaneri. I think that will happen.
Right. Well, that was my thinking for this weekend is does Eze start? I think Arteta's the type of guy who will think, we're going to Anfield, a place where it's going to be really tough, always is for us. Eze's only been with us for a week. Am I going to throw him in when he doesn't maybe understand all the things that we do? I'm thinking he might not start, Eze.
I think he starts. I don't think he starts Nwaneri in the 10 at Anfield. I don't think he trusts him defensively yet. I think he totally believes in him going forward. I mean, he did great when he came on against Leeds. You know, Martinelli, I feel like he trusts always at Anfield. And, you know, we've been speaking for quite some time now where you say, Stevie, you used to like, when you saw Martinelli and Saka on the team sheet, you'd always be like, oh, here we go. And I think Madueke on the right, Gyökeres in the middle, and Martinelli on the left with Eza in the 10 is what I think he will do.
Right. Yeah, my one quite. I just get the feeling that Arteta's the type of guy who'll go, he doesn't understand yet what we do. And it's such a game. It's away from home. It's at Liverpool. That kind of, I was thinking about whether he would do Nwaneri, but you've seen a lot more of Nwaneri and you understand a lot more what's going on at Arsenal than I do. So
I like that we have options.
Yeah,
I like that we have options. A lot of them say Eza will start left wing, Madueke right. If Odegaard is still injured, Nwaneri in the 10. Maybe that could happen. And you know,
goes back to what you were saying about the squads, Liverpool and Arsenal. Arsenal's definitely got a deeper squad. Yeah.
Can we? I'd love to get your opinion on Arsenal fans who want to sell Odegaard, and say like already that Eberici's their number 10. Odegaard, yeah, he had a bad season last season, but he was integral to the 2 previous where we almost won the Premier League. Do you think it's fair or foe with Odegaard?
I think it's too early to say you get rid of your captain. I think it's too early. I don't disagree that he wasn't at his best last season. It's unfortunate that he's picked up that shoulder injury at the start of this season. That doesn't bode well. But I think it's too early. You know, you don't just bin somebody after one poor season.
I find it so difficult to believe there are some fans that want him gone. It's like, be careful what you wish for as well, by the way. You know, Odegaard is very underrated on the pitch. People, if they watch him, you know, people want him to be loud and brash like Tony Adams, and you played against Tony Adams. But I think he's loud in the sense that he dictates a lot of what Mikel wants to happen. He's always moving players around. It's very, very underrated. I know in your time, captains used to be crazier and louder, Stevie, but it doesn't mean you're not a good leader if, you don't yell at the top of your voice.
No, Steven Gerrard's a good example of that as well. He wasn't a screamer. But I'll tell you what, if he gave you a look, you knew all about it. I mean, there are different ways of doing it, you know. Berating people and being loud and in the face, you know. I guess it depends what kind of team you've got. But as I say, Gerrard was a different type. You know, he expected you to be at a standard, and if you weren't, the glare he gave you said it all. And that was just the same as somebody else who would shout and scream.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that. He just gave you the look and you knew. You know, different ways of doing it. And Odegaard definitely, as you said, is not a screamer. But yeah, he looks, to me, he looks like the captain on the field as well.
Yeah, he totally is. I think it's a little bit underrated. Speaking of underrated, I have one here for you. We'll get to some of the flair players, the attacking players. There's always this, I feel like Mo Salah is a little bit disrespected considering his achievements. If there's one player I would have signed back in the day before the emergence of Saka, it is this guy. Is that fair or faux? I mean, I see a lot of people kind of complaining about him. He's either great or not. I mean, that happens to a lot of creative players. But do you think he's disrespected?
I understand because I'll sit and watch a Liverpool game. And in fact, generally most Liverpool games. And Mo Salah will, during most games, stand on it, give it away, run it out of play. But then he scores goals. So, you know, the guy's in there to score goals, and he scores goals. Now, you can complain about other parts of his game that frustrate you. Certainly frustrates me when he does those things, standing on it and giving it away. but he scores goals. I mean, what do you want? Really, what do you want?
Yeah.
And we all want
Yeah.
goal scorers. So I get the frustration with him. But, yeah, anybody who... Yeah. How can you disrespect somebody that scores that many goals in the Premier League over a 10-year period?
I don't get it. I really don't. And I think it happens to him a lot. For me, you know, when you look at the players he's surpassing as well in that top 10 list, it's kind of insane. Well, hopefully he'll have one of those shite games on Sunday. That's for sure.
Well, let's hope he stands on it and kicks it out of play and gives it away and then sticks it in the top corner, as he normally does.
All right. What about strikers? Ekitike looks like he's played in the Premier League for a while. Gyökeres took him a game, but I loved his individual goal.
By the way, can I just say, I couldn't believe the amount of stick that Gyökeres was getting after the first game. I mean, what? Seriously, he was given absolutely no service by the rest of his team in the Man United game, and people were getting on him. I mean, come on, seriously, I couldn't believe how hard people were on him. And I was actually, don't get me wrong, I'm no Arsenal fan, right? But I was actually I was glad because of the stick he got against United that he scored. You know, the goal he took is what he's good at. You know, he did it himself. It was just a ball played in behind into the space wide, and he's taken it and gone past two defenders and put it home, and then he smashed his penalty away. So I was actually glad for him, to be honest, because I just thought the stick he got after the first game was atrocious.
I love that you've said that out loud. It was insane. I mean, it's similarly with, you know, Florian Wirtz. He's only played 2 games. Like, give the guy a chance to breathe. Yeah. It just seems like the instant gratification universe that we live in now. It's crazy. And I'm with you. I was so happy for him in the Leeds game, and it was the perfect game to follow up from Manchester United. And to get the goal and then to score the penalty. I know we were way up at that point, but when you're given the ball by Declan Rice and you're at home, you want to get off to a great start, and he's a really good penalty taker. Yeah. Do you think because of maybe Manchester, I don't know if people are writing off Manchester City, the wounded animal from last season, too soon as well, Stevie, but you know, Haaland's already bagged goals. Can you see a scenario where Gyökeres and Ekitike might score more than him this season, or do you go with what you know?
I think you go with what you know. But that doesn't mean that Manchester City are going to win the Premier League, though. Because, you know, it was like over the summer and the Club World Cup and coming into the season, to me, it was a lot of propaganda going around that, City they're not the team that fell off a cliff last year, and they've done this and they've done that. Well, they did absolutely nothing defensively to make them any better. And that was what the biggest problems were, defensively. And they've done nothing to make themselves any better. And then you look at last weekend, going forward, my goodness, I thought they were absolutely awful. I mean, Cherki looked like a guy who wasn't quite sure where he was playing. I mean, Mamouche had one chance in the first half where he probably should have scored, but disappeared after that. I mean, so they absolutely are not the team that they were. No question. Defensively, you can get at them. You break on them quick. They're going to lose goals. And going forward, that sharpness that they had in the final third 3-4 years ago, that seems to have disappeared as well. You know, it's a lot more laborious. It's a lot slower. You know, so they absolutely have their own problems. So. Yeah, I don't think we write them off completely, but they've not looked great.
Yeah, I agree. There's something a little bit off with them. Okay, well, we've got a little bit here with Stevie, another 10 or so minutes. We'll get your questions in as well. I think the midfield's going to be a really fascinating battle at the weekend. Yep. I loved seeing Declan Rice and Zubimendi kind of get on the same page, especially in the Leeds game. I felt like Zubimendi worked a little in the shadows against Manchester United does, and things that maybe people don't notice. I was wondering if you think that he might be one of the most underrated signings of the summer. Maybe it's because it had been going on for a whole year. But I'd love your take on Zubimendi, Rice, and how you think our midfield might match up to yours this season with the changes that we've made.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm not quite. I mean, listen, Zubimendi nearly gave a penalty away last weekend as well. You know, he did do a lot of good things, but he also did a couple of things he was a little fortunate about. So I think it's too early. Again, a little bit like the Gyökeres thing. I think it's too early to jump on somebody and say how great they are. In the same way that you shouldn't jump on anybody straight away and say how bad they are. So I'm not quite sure yet about Zubimendi.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean he did some really good things in the game, yes. And you know, if he produces what he did at Sociedad and with Spain, then absolutely, him and Declan Rice together will be fantastic. And probably if Odegaard doesn't start and Eze does start in the middle, Eze will make your midfield stronger, because Eze does get back and get involved defensively. So in some ways, Eze starting instead of Odegaard will make you stronger defensively in the middle of the park. And you also know that he's going to go forward, and you know what he's capable of in the final third. He's capable of sticking the ball in the top corner from 30 yards. He's capable of sliding Gyökeres in or Martinelli or whoever it is.
Let me ask you this about Declan real quick, Stevie. Do you think he's world class?
Yeah, he's best, yeah. Yeah, it didn't look 100% fit to me so far this season. I think he's looked sluggish. He was sluggish against United, and probably he's not fit. I mean, you're not taking Declan Rice off when you're holding on to a lead at Old Trafford with 10 minutes to go. If he's 100% fit, I think that was clear. So I don't think he's 100% yet. He's not as sharp as he would like to be, but yeah, when he's at his best, he's world class. Yeah.
He's played a lot of football, and he had that little injury last season, and he's so important to us. And hopefully we'll see the Declan Rice with Zubimendi and Eze maybe. We'll see a Declan Rice that we saw against Real Madrid, which would be super cool. Right, let's get to the gaffers. You mentioned Arteta at the top of the show, but I also want to twist it for you. Given Liverpool's investment in the transfer window, do you feel that it would be a failure if Arne Slot didn't deliver a repeat title this season?
No. Listen, they've got to be competing. We've seen already. Football is we spoke. I've been talking about Amarin earlier on today, and we're talking about theory and practical. And Liverpool making all these signings going forward. The theory is, wow, how good are they going to be? This guy's going to do this, and they're going to do that, and they're going to be brilliant. But we know that the practical is a different world, and players do need time to adjust to the other players around them, and get in a situation where you end up playing passes and doing things without even thinking about it. You know, time's the worst enemy for any footballer on the field. Because if you have to think about it, that split second, somebody's on top of you. Or the gap's gone. You can't make the pass. You know, there are so many little intricacies that move you from a good team to a great team. And so when you make a lot of changes, that takes time to become a great team. Right now, Liverpool are a good team. But right now, they're not playing great football. They're certainly not a great team right now. And it takes time. So Arne Slot, to me, just has to make Liverpool be in the race all season. You can't. That's an awful label to start after 2 games and say, well, if he doesn't win the league again, then it's a failure because they've spent money. I don't go along with that.
So let's talk about Mikel real quick. you said that, he has to deliver this season. I believe that there are many, many Arsenal fans out there and people in the media and pundits and who do think that he's had enough time. He's been given a lot of money, and now is the time. Everyone thought the time would be last season, but to be fair, we did have horrific injuries. And I feel that maybe with these new signings too, like on Sunday, I was saying on the show yesterday, Arne Slot can prepare for Arsenal, but can Arne Slot prepare for an Arsenal where he hasn't had this look before? Is it going to be Eze? Is it going to be Madueke? Is it going to be Martinelli? Is it going to be Waneri? There's a little bit of a, he's got a bit of a joker in his back pocket. Does it have to be the Premier League, Steve? Because the Champions League, I feel like that's the one we want, because then opposing fans can't, hit us over the head with that shtick anymore, right? But to me, it's the Premier League, either one. But if he wins a cup double, for example, does he keep his job? Well, how do you see it? If you're the director of football and the owners, what's the remit?
It's just not straightforward, is it? Look, if Arsenal lose the title by a point or 2 points, I mean, do you sack him? I wouldn't think so, because that means that you're going to have to be at a certain level for the whole season to get into that position. If you end up finishing fourth, then maybe there's a thought process of, and I guess as well would depend on if there's, if somebody's available just at the right time, that could go against Arteta. But yeah, I should probably be fair and say that I guess if you don't win the Premier League or you don't win the Champions League, I think it's important that you don't win it in a certain way, if that makes sense. If you get the semi-final or the final of the Champions League and you end up losing the Premier League by a point or 2 points, then that has to be a scenario where you can't get rid of the manager. But if you finish fourth and you're out the title race by the end of January and you get knocked out in the first I'm expecting Arsenal to qualify through the new qualifying system to get into the final 16 or 32, whatever it is in the Champions League, and you fall at the first hurdle. So if you finish fourth in the Premier League and you fall at the first hurdle in the Champions League,
that's failure.
Then that's failure.
Yeah.
So it's not quite straightforward. If you don't win it, you're out. It does depend on the circumstances. And again, as I said, if Alonso, for example, was available for some reason, that would make them maybe think a little deeper about Mikel's status. I would only release Mikel from his duties and make Jurgen Klopp the most expensive manager on the planet. That's what I would do, Stevie. Thought you'd like that one. He's got to get bored at some point, seriously, right? I mean, come on, retirement, director of football? Nah. I don't know. I would love that. Why not?
Why not, right? Why not?
He's floating around watching games and
exactly.
having dinners and couple of beers. I mean, it's not that bad.
Last 5 meetings, lots of Desmonds here, and it's been 6 games since you guys have been unable to beat us, but it's also been since 2012 that we've won at Anfield, and Mikel Arteta was playing the last time we won at Anfield. A lot of people feel like now is the time, and most of your questions from the listeners is who do you think is going to win at the weekend? Keith, you speak for everyone. Hey, Stevie, given the indifferent beginnings for both clubs, who do you think will win? Appreciate your time on the Highbury Squad.
I think this is a real tough one to call, just because Liverpool defensively have been so poor, and Arsenal defensively haven't given up anything yet. But Arsenal, as you said, haven't won since Arteta was playing. I think this is really tough to call. I mean, I'm sitting on the fence, to be honest with you, because, you know, as I said previously, as average as Liverpool have been, they've scored 9 goals in 3 games, including the Charity Shield. So they've clearly got talent up front, and you give them half a sniff and they're taking it. That's why I'm going for a draw. Arsenal's record at Liverpool, I think, means that Arsenal will be solid and tight. And then you've got to think Liverpool are going to defend better in a big game.
Well, Paul's got
done so far, so I can't go either way. I honestly can't go either way. I think this has got a draw written all over it.
I think if Saka and Odegaard were playing, I would definitely. There's something about this game.
Yep.
There's something about this game, Stevie, where I feel confident. I don't know what it is. I feel like now's the time. It's, you know, ducks have to be broken at some point. I fancy us because of the vulnerability. You haven't brought Gay in yet. You don't have Isak. Will Szoboszlai be playing right back? There's just some components to it where I feel that maybe we've really got a shot. And Paul's got a good question for you here, because I think, you know, we see this a lot, of course. What allows a team to score late goals? Liverpool have done this this season, and Arsenal were doing it 2 seasons ago. And what a brilliant goal from the 16-year-old, I'm old enough to be his grandmother, as well as Dowman's as well. Insane stuff. But it's a culture thing, a belief thing? What is it? Or just luck?
Oh no, it's culture. It's definitely a culture, 100%. You just know that it's going to happen. I don't ever. Well, that's not true. Probably my last couple of years at Liverpool, playing games, actually on the field, I'm thinking, I don't see how we're scoring here. I had never in a million years have thought that in the first 10 years of my Liverpool career. So it's definitely a culture thing. Yeah. And it's not something, again, you know, we use this word culture, but basically when you have a culture like that, you don't have a thought that it's not going to happen. You just believe it's going to happen. And that keeps driving you forward and driving you to push the opposition back. Really is it's a cultural thing.
Yeah. I mean, that season where with the Reece Nelson goal for us and Eddie at Man United, and you're seeing it with, you know, your goal against Newcastle, with United, although some people call it Fergie time, they still built that culture of late goals.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to say goodbye to Stevie now. And Harvey says, Stevie, will you promise not to make excuses when the Arsenal whip Liverpool at the weekend?
I don't think I ever make excuses.
You rile them up.
An excuse would be something that actually didn't happen.
I had to put this picture up. For those listening on audio, I'm showing a picture of, how old are you in that big one right there?
Oh my God, I'd be 20.
Look at you.
That's 42 years. That's 42 years ago. Holy smoke.
It's a great picture. It's a great picture. And as always, I just have to flash this up real quick and then flash it back down. Just a quick one from.
Yeah, my glasses weren't working there. Didn't quite.
Well, listen, so appreciate you. And I look forward to the game. I fancy a 3-1 to the Gunners. We'll talk about it, you know, when we have the reverse fixture, our annual conversation. Well, twice a year. What's that called? Biannual? No.
Biannual.
Anyway, yeah. There you go. All right. Are you on ESPNFC this weekend?
I am, yes. I'm on Sunday after the game. Hopefully I'll be smiling.
Hopefully you won't be smiling. And
listen, if we get a point, I'll be happy. I would take a point right now.
Ooh, listen to this kind of talk. I like it. Maybe Arsenal.
Right now, yeah, that's how worried I am.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go and do some housekeeping bits for a few minutes. Thank you.
Okay.
And I will text you over the weekend when we beat you 3-1.
All right, Sophie. All the best.
All right, mate. Take care.
Good
At
luck
ease.
with that one.
The legend that is Stevie Nicol. Good stuff from him. Really appreciate him. He's scared. I totally got that too, Harvey. Keith says thank you. Steve says thank you. He's always so generous with his time. Absolute legend. I agree with you. He is a great guest, Carol. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to listen to Stevie Nicol. He's going to block me for sure. He'll block me. You won't want to get my text. That's for sure. Thanks so much for tuning in, you guys. Just wanted to do a couple of housekeeping items as well. And of course, news about Kivior today. We wish Kivior very, very well. He is a player I think in the end a lot of us wanted to keep. I went through a phase where I thought Kivior was just awful and had to apologize sincerely for that. But we do wish him well, especially if we're going to bring Nketiah in. And if you missed the show with Kevin Hatchard talking about Piero Nketiah, please check out the video section. It's really cool. It's a nice 25, 30-minute listen. And he dives in and gives his insights. As you know, Kev is the Amazon Bundesliga commentator, and he's a superb European football expert. And so fingers crossed that this all comes to fruition, and it would be a phenomenal window for the Arsenal. Catch up on yesterday's show. We had Johnny Cochran on from the Arsenal Opinion podcast. We went through the Champions League draw and gave our thoughts on that, as well as picking our starting 11s for the Liverpool game. And we will also be back after the big match on Sunday, of course. It has to be a post-game show. For this one, I fancy it. I really do. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. But I really, really do. And now's the time for two players to make a name for themselves at the Arsenal. And, you know, I think it was Paul that said, don't be daft, Eze won't be starting. He's only been here for X amount of time. Stevie didn't think that maybe he would be starting. I just think a player like him is ready. For me, he starts. I can't see Arteta starting Nwaneri at Anfield, but maybe I'm wrong. And maybe, you know, look, there are different scenarios here that can happen. Nwaneri could actually start on the right and Madueke can start on the left, but Madueke was brought in to be the deputy to Saka, but also many fans felt like he would be the guy who starts on the left. Martinelli can start because he's been really good and reliable for Mikel at Anfield. And also we know what he does off the ball and his defensive duties. And on that side where Liverpool have their biggest threat, Martinelli has been reliable. I think maybe he's judged on that pass he missed a couple seasons ago, wide open to Saka. But I don't think we can deny that Martinelli is one of the hardest working Arsenal players off the ball. I mean, is there a chance that Miles Lewis-Skelly could play in midfield? Who knows? Odegaard could play, might be fit. Mikel Arteta's keeping a lot of things really close to his chest. But the fact that we are talking about these options and that we have these options and that Mikel has tools in his toolbox, this is a really good thing. Otherwise, we'd all be panicking that Saka wasn't available and Odegaard is injured and, you know, who knows what would happen had we not had a good window. And credit to Berta and to Mikel for making these signings happen. Benches can be really effective, and right now our bench is being called up, and Madueke and Eze can have an immediate impact at the club. These are the moments and these are the kinds of games where you can become an instant cult hero. And if there was ever a time to beat Liverpool, I mean, we say every season, now's the time, but now really is the time. You know, Arteta and Slot have a tremendous amount of respect for each other, but that all goes out the window. I don't want us to show the champions too much respect. They will have decisions go their way. They will have the crowd behind them. There is a really good rivalry between the two of us, a great history between the two of us. And the fact that Mikel Arteta's record against Liverpool kind of goes unnoticed. In fact, his record against the so-called top six is very underrated. We talked about disrespect before, for Salah. I think that Mikel Arteta's results against these teams and what he's been able to do. We talk about culture, last-minute goals, a good question from Paul. We've built a culture of competing and fighting and getting great results against the best teams in the country. The process, progress, success, I'm going to say every season, now's the time. Now is the time. Be fearless. Go up there, play football, unleash your creativity. Of course, be disciplined. We've got the best defense in the Premier League. And we've got some new pieces, who move my cheese. But they're good pieces. They're Premier League experienced pieces. And that is going to be the key for us. So I'm excited for the match. I cannot wait to see it. And, I agree with you, Demsek, that right side is going to be the challenge. But, I think we've got what it takes to win this game. I don't know if Benjamin White's going to be available, but Timber, he needs to be available. And Carol, 100% correct. First one in the house tonight too. Chief Like Officer, hope she's okay. Haven't seen her this evening, but yes, we have options. Cliff says we have all the tools, but truth be told, I don't know what this geezer is going to do. By geezer, I think he means the gaffer. It's good that we can have these conversations, says Jason. Arsenal Muse says they'll pump our captain with painkillers so he can play. Jeez, I should read these sometimes before I put them up. But he also says whenever he starts in the middle, we'll be 2-0 down at half time. Paul suspects that Odegaard would start. Carol thinks that Eza should be thrown in. Harvey says Odegaard will start with Martinelli and Madueke. We will see. We shall see. Let's see. Keith says, thanks, Sophie. Appreciate it. Come on, you Gunners, 2-1 to the Arsenal. Let us know what you think. Make sure you listen to share this show with your friends. And thank you to everyone who's caught up on the audio platforms as well. We appreciate you. Give us a subscribe. We will be back post-game and hopefully we will be waxing lyrical about our Gunners finally getting a win at the Anfield. Now's the time. Now's the time. Don't be afraid, Mikel. Let them have it. Until then, you guys, take care. Don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. And at ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.